The Lotus 49. What a car. And it just took out a pretty special award. The race car of the century. Boasting over 400 brake horsepower and just over 500 kilograms, this car was an absolute monster, revolutionising F1 in the 60s. First car to have an aerofoil, first car to use the engine as a stress member, all thanks to Colin Chapman. Now, what better place is there to take a car like this other than the Temple of Speed? So here we are at Monza. Alright, so here we are getting away from the pits in our Lotus 49. Now this car and this track is such a pleasure to drive. It is just one of the best car track combos you can do in the history of the world. Alongside one of the best cars in the history of the world. Everything just gels here. I chose this track specifically because it made sense considering that Jim Clark got one of his best results here. Well, maybe not one of his best results, but had one of his best drives here in this car in this year. So I've lined up the grid exactly the same as how it was in that year from first to last, except I, imitating Jim Clark, will be starting from last because the AI are not super quick around here. However, it does lean into the fact that when this car finished, it would usually lap the field or would be a country mile quicker than everyone else. So heading up to Ascari for the first time of 10. And yeah, as soon as I saw that this car won Motorsport's Racecar of the Century, I knew that I knew where I was taking this car, I knew what video I was doing. It all just clicked. This is one of the first cars I've ever driven in sim racing, and it shows. So we get massively locked up and coming into Parabolica and nearly run into Jackie Stewart, I believe it is, in front of me, in what would be a BRM. But yeah, definitely one of my favourite cars ever, if not my favourite car ever. I've driven this thing so much. I got into sim racing, and this thing made me love sim racing just because of how delicate you need to be, how fast it is, how little grip you have. You've got to dance it around every corner, and when you get it right, it is pure racing, nothing else but that. Now, as we're already up into P12, it definitely shows just how fast this car was. When it finished, it would often lap the field, but more times than not, it didn't finish. I think it was 14 out of the 22 starts this car had across the 1967 season were DNFs. So the other races that the car started, it would either get pole or win. So this car was just an absolute monster on the track. Although Jim Clark and both Graham Hill said it was fast, it was also, definitely not the easiest car in the world to drive because of the weight to power ratio. So you would often have to really feather on the throttle. But once they started to get accustomed to it, they were unstoppable. And would put in results that would just show that. So Jim Clark, this race in 1967, was leading the field by about a lap and a half, I believe, and then ran out of fuel a couple of laps before the finish and gave the victory to either Jack Brabham or Jackie Stewart. Can't remember exactly, but I know it was one of those two, and I know that he ran out of fuel just a couple of laps before the line, but was firmly in first place before that happened. So as we'll come up towards Curva Grande for the third time, got Denny Hulme in his Brabham in front of me as he's taken a little look up the inside of whatever car that is ahead of us. Can't really tell from here. It might be a Cooper. As we'll get on the grass a little bit, try and make a move. And, firmly on the grass now. Hold it. Please hold it. Ooh. Just keeping onto it somehow. So somehow getting it slowed down for Lesmo 1, and we'll just feather on third through Lesmo 2, just take a little cheeky look up the inside of Denny Hulme, pretty much what he did through Curva Grande, and he's backed out of it, so we've got that move done as well. I did think that was going to work, but press on our way towards Ascari, and let's find out which car this is ahead of us. So, being powered by this Cosworth DFV. This engine was purpose built for the car. Originally they were going to use a BRM at H16, but they couldn't quite get it to work the same, so Colin Chapman ended up convincing Ford to build a power plant just for the DFV engine, and it was a good thing he did, because it sure enough would power a majority of the grid from I think it was like 69 through to like mid 80s. I think people were still using it, although it was highly modified by that point. As we've got Bruce McLaren in front of us in P6 already, so 6 laps to go in P6 already. Sending it up the inside. Don't think I'm going to be able to make it stick, and I'm not. That was a bit adventurous, as I have been everywhere so far this race, but got to send it, got to have some fun. As we'll go for a little move into the Lesmo. I know that I can take them on into first Lesmo and into Parabolica, although I've been driving a little bit poorly today, as I've locked up every single time that I've gone into Parabolica so far. And as we get again on the dirt once again, so yeah, definitely not driving the best today, but hey, bit of fun, and we'll keep going. Got more cars to overtake, and I've got one spotted in the distance, and I should probably have him done just after Parabolica. So yeah, definitely I just was so happy to see this car take it out. I know that there was a lot of other cars that were nominated, and cars rightfully so, but I just really feel like this car, as we're getting on, I don't know what I'm doing today, we get on the grass for quite a long while there. Yeah, this car, it's just so revolutionary, really is. I mean, from this season on to 68, obviously Jimmy Clark dying in 68, don't know how much more the car would have been amazing, you'd never know. But 69, aerofoils, 1970 with Jochen Rindt, and then onto the 72D. It really laid the foundations for F1 in the 70s, and Colin Chapman and the whole team of Lotus were just on it in this period. They were just so on it, and it's so amazing to look back on and just have the ability to be able to drive these cars in sim and experience the history, you know, it's amazing. As we'll come into Lesmo 1 and send it up the inside of Jack Brabham. Can we make it stick? I think we can just get it done. Through Lesmo 2 is going to be a bit of an awkward corner. Probably my weakest corner on the track, I reckon. It's always hard. Got to hold it in third and then sort of ride out to the wall and not touch the wall like I did the lap previous. And we'll head towards Ascari. On a good lap, should be flat out through Ascari, but it's not always a good lap. Turn in, little lift, and then back on the power. And run it all the way out to the curb on the right. Yeah, so back up to P4, P3 now, I believe. We should have, yeah, P4. So should have probably an Eagle. Should be an Eagle, a Lotus, and maybe a Ferrari in front of me, I believe. But yeah, I took a couple of stabs at doing this race. Didn't really take too long. Did have to download a new AI line, just because they would come through Curva Grande and have a monumental accident every single time they did. Yeah, Chris Amon. So I got a Ferrari and maybe an Eagle. I'm not sure about the Eagle, but it definitely should be Graham Hill in the lead at this point. I'd be mad if it's not. Yeah, they'd have monumental accidents coming through here, and they would hold up the whole track, and I just decided that I would start from pit lane because it made the most sense, and also the car's good enough that it can do it. As we'll come into Lesmo 1 once again with Chris Amon's screaming V12 in front of me, the Ferrari. I love the look of those exhaust pipes. Such an iconic look. Such an iconic era of race car, really. I mean, they're definitely hard to drive, and when you get into sim racing, these cars are terrifying, but once you start to handle them and you can start to put a little bit of power into it and really start throwing the car about, they're just the best. As I'll pull right up on his gearbox, and we'll just have a listen to this. Just amazing, just so cool that you can do this. Always is. Come into Parabolica once more and head our way down the main straight to see who is our next target. I should only have 2 cars in front of me by this point. Should be firmly in P3. We'll see what lap time we do while we're at it. See if we can get down to that 28, maybe, hopefully. 29.7, so pretty much turning over 29.7s every lap so far. That esteemed 28.5 that Jim Clark got in the race and pole position. That was just an absolutely nuts lap time for the time. I think it was like 3 or 4 seconds quicker than the year before. It's just absolutely nuts. But we'll chase down Dan Gurney in his Eagle, so I was right. Dan Gurney firmly in 2nd place, but hopefully not for long. The Eagle around this track is also just an absolute monster. That thing is crazy in a straight line. If we get on the grass for like the 9th time and crash right into the wall, slow myself down. Really out of the sorts today, but oh well. Okay, get back at it. Got to turn the damage off, because otherwise there's no AI that will finish this race. It's the way that it goes. We'll come through Ascari once more, see if I can put my foot in it this lap, and I have. Catch right up to Dan Gurney by Parabolica, hopefully. When you take that flat, I don't think they take that flat, so that's, you can definitely gain a lot of ground, and braking later into, or as late as possible into Parabolica, as I so often do, will definitely net you time as well as that won't, but it is fun and it looks cool. Massively sideways through Parabolica, you love to see it. And we'll go on for another lap. Only have a few left at this rate, and I've still got 2 positions to gain. 1.2 seconds off Dan Gurney, and Graham Hill in the lead, I believe, so should hopefully be able to get Dan Gurney this lap. If not this lap, I'm probably not gonna get quite to Graham Hill, but I should be able to. Have closed up quite a lot coming through Curva Grande. I actually closed up massively through Curva Grande this lap, so I think that's the first time I've properly nailed it. Brake as late as I can coming in to the Lesmo 1. Just look to the inside just in case he backed out of it. Keep myself clear, and then hug that wall on the left. Don't touch the grass like I've done every other lap, and get off throttle, back on the throttle as soon as you know the car's rotated and pointing in a straight line, and run all the way down pretty much flat through to Parabolica. Little lift when you turn in for Ascari, and then back on the power as soon as you've done turning in, and pull right up on his gearbox. Oh, forced me out wide a little bit, not his fault, but probably should have let out a little bit. But we'll keep going on our way down to Parabolica and see if I can get him maybe just after it onto the main straight towards Curva Grande. I think it's probably my best chance, as we've closed up on Graham Hill as well, so probably only a 1.5 seconds separating both of us right now. So I'm struggling to put the power down. All that horsepower in the back just wants to kick the rear end around, but it's useful. Probably tucking a little bit into the slipstream here, so another 1:30, slowing down a little bit, but I think that's just about what they're doing, so not losing too much time. We'll come through Curva Grande once more, see if I can nail it like I did last lap. Drop it down to 4th, foot back on the power as soon as the turning's done, and just run out wide. Yep, this is going to be the lap. Pulling firmly alongside Dan Gurney, and got the move done before Lesmo won. So locking up just a little bit, and now all eyes are on Graham Hill. So got my teammate in front of me. Let's see if we can bring a cool little 1-2 result home with me at the helm. I'm sure Colin Chapman would be very happy to see it. So we'll go once more on to Ascari down the hill under the oval. Decided not to race the oval today, as much as I actually wanted to do it, just because I wanted to stay faithful to the true 1967 race, where they raced the road course, not the full oval. I think the 66 was the last year that the oval was raced. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that it was raced that year. Whoa, whoa, as we lock up and nearly go into the back of Graham Hill on the second last lap. Ooh, that was close. Alright, and now completely sideways through Parabolica once more. But I should have this overtake done before Curva Grande. But he does have the same horsepower as me, so pull alongside, See if I can get him done before the main straight. And I have. But I've just got to hold on to it. He's forced me all the way out of the track. And I'm on the grass a little bit once again, like I've so often done this race. We'll drop it down to 4th. And I think he's just might just be able to get around the outside on me. Might have the speed. Especially if I touch the curb there. Yep. Oh, come real close. Yep, just got the move done. Not safely. Not how you want to see it done, but still counts in the end. We come down to Lesmo 1 for the last time. And just feather on the brakes. Just slow it down a little bit. Don't need to be doing anything crazy on the last lap. Lesmo 2, how are you taking it? 3rd gear. Not too bad at all. Nice feather on the power on the exit. And I should run away with the victory here all the way up to start finish line. So we'll head towards Scari for the last time and see if we can take it flat on the last lap. Can't quite. Little lift and then the foot back in it. And then let it sing all the way down to Parabolica. Graham Hill looks like he's being able to keep Dan Gurney behind, but we've still got one more corner to see whether we can get that illustrious 1-2 finish for Team Lotus in the 1967 Italian Grand Prix. We've made it through Parabolica. Looks like we have anyway. A little bit of wheel spin on exit, but we've made it. Graham Hill in 2nd place. Run it up to the line, and it is a 1-2 for Lotus at the Temple of Speed. You love to see it, especially after the award that this car has just won. So, race car of the century, the Lotus 49. But we'll go have a look at the results in the pit. Alrighty, so as we pull into our pit box, have a look at the results. So we got me in 1st, Graham Hill in 2nd, so 1-2 for Lotus, and then 3rd and 4th for Eagle with Dan Gurney in 3rd and Scarfiotti in 4th. Chris Amon in 5th in the Ferrari, Jack Brabham 6th in his Brabham, and then you've got Giancarlo Baghetti in his Lotus 49, finishing 7th. He was 2nd last. John Surtees in his Honda, Jochen Rindt in his Cooper, Joe Bonnier in his other Cooper, and then you have Bruce McLaren, Joe Sifford, Denny Hulme, Jackie Ickx. Jackie Stewart finishing very low in his BRM, same with Mike Spence and Chris Irwin. Not a great outing for those guys, but good outing for the Lotus team. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.